I know I'm late for this video, but here is my spoiler-free review of the Batman. As you can see by the background right now, that is my opinion. This movie is cinema. It is so good. It is phenomenal. This movie is amazing by itself, but it is a perfect Batman movie. And when I mean that is we really get the detective side of Batman in a live action movie and pairing that with horror aspects, and I mean really horror aspects. It is, I'm going to say here, it is perfect. There is no complaint that I feel is valid for this movie. And first off, I think one of the dumbest complaints I've seen about this movie is that it is dark. What did you expect? We are watching a movie about Batman, not Spider-Man, the little 16-year-old kid who's supposed to be funny and that, whatever. This is not an MCU movie. There isn't supposed to be a unfunny joke every 2 minutes. This is a movie about a man who is fighting for his city, fighting to simply defeat crime as a whole. It's not one person, it is crime. And that in itself is impossible. But he is trying. He knows that it's impossible, but he will not stop trying. And wow, it is amazing. It is amazing. I'm going to keep on going over the complaints first so that I can talk about all the good stuff after. The second complaint is that it is a long, slow movie, especially in the third act. And I'm going to say right now, this is spoiler free. I mentioned in the beginning, spoiler free. I will not say what happened in it, but they're wrong. Simple as that. It is, no scene could have been cut out that was unnecessary. And I mean that in the strongest way, because every scene in this either was for the story, to develop the story of the movie, or develop future projects and just set up the future. There's so much things they set up in this movie alone, in just one movie. I think the third complaint is that it is simply boring. And I don't know what movie you're watching, but if you found this movie boring, why? What do you like? What is not boring to you? There is amazing action scenes, really terrifying horror aspects, really great detective work. There are jokes in this, don't get me wrong. This is not just a this dark, super dark movie. It is super dark, don't get me wrong. That's bad phrasing by me. But there's some real comedy in this movie, and that comes mainly from the Penguin. What's it? The Penguin is, he has a scene which I'm not gonna talk about it, but he is really funny, and you know what scene I'm talking about if you've seen it. But if you haven't seen it and you come back and watch this, you'll know what I'm talking about. He is really funny. He is pretty comic accurate, and Colin Farrell does an amazing adaptation of him, and he really looks like the Penguin. Now, obviously, I can't put him up to Danny DeVito yet because this wasn't about Penguin. The movie was not about Penguin. That was not the main villain. As the main villain in this was the Riddler, and let me tell you, he was perfect. He is a serial killer who does not care what he does. He does not care who he hurts, because he is inspired by the Batman. The Batman, his hero, the guy who fights crime. He wants to be just like the Batman, except he's pretty bad. And by pretty bad, I mean he murders people. But he, throughout this movie, is terrifying. And the fact is, he is a man who is psychotically mentally insane. And throughout this movie, he is demonstrated as this. And if you want to know more about his backstory, I would recommend reading the Before the Batman. It is I think it's a novel that they created for this movie. But really, his origin story in that is awesome. And we are looking at cinema right now. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but let me show you a couple shots from the movie. Actually, well, what am I doing? I'm sorry. I'm kind of losing my mind here. But he is terrifying, the Riddler. Let me go back up to that. I'm sorry. Um, he's perfect, but he's not better than Heath Ledger. Don't get me wrong. People will compare this movie to The Dark Knight for probably many years, and I don't think people will stop comparing those movies. But he's not Heath Ledger good. And I say that in the most complimented way because of how good Heath Ledger is. But in my opinion, the Riddler in this is the second best comic book movie villain ever. Ever. I think he really is just terrifying. It is terrifying. So at sometimes, and at sometimes at some scenes you just see him and you see how psychotic he is, and he's played so well. But he's also played realistically. He is not this guy who all of a sudden is a master at everything. He is not experienced. I'm not going to say any further than that because that would be a spoiler, but I think that's the easiest way I could summarize him as a character. And like I was saying before, I kind of got sidetracked. I do want to show you some shots from the movie that were in the trailer that I just found were amazing because the cinematography in this movie, I don't know why it's not zoomed in fully, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not zoomed in. He is... Actually, I think I might be able to zoom in. There we go. Okay. Couple shots in this movie. Not couple shots. Every shot in this movie is beautiful. They did a great job with cinematography. Let me go to the next one. Why can't I go to the next one? Again, I'm not going to talk about what these scenes entail because that would be spoilers, but these are all scenes from trailers, TV spots that we've seen before the movie came out. And this is my personal favorite. This is the Batcave. We already knew this before. They showed us this picture before. So not spoilers, but the cinematography of this movie is amazing. It is amazing. There's so many shots and scenes that are filmed so beautifully. It is amazing. Like I said before, it's not just a good Batman film or comic book film. This is a great film, but it is a perfect Batman film, in my opinion. Again, everything here is my opinion. You can disagree with me. I'm going to think I'm right because it's my opinion. So, and while we're looking at him, Batman, Robert Pattinson, he is the Batman. In my opinion, he is the best Batman we have seen live action. He gets the essence of the character down so well. And I've seen people say, oh, yeah, he's a good Batman. Some people say, oh, he's not the best, but he's still a good Batman. There's no doubting that. But he's not a good Bruce Wayne. And when I say that, I just slap my head in how dumb that argument is. Because he's not Bruce Wayne yet. What I mean by that is Bruce Wayne is his persona. The billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne. The guy who owns every restaurant in Gotham City. He could buy anything he wants. This persona is something that Batman, Bruce Wayne, creates. Because he wants to shield his other side. The other side of him, the Batman. Someone looks at Bruce Wayne and says, you know what? You're rich. And you're kind of weird. You could be the Batman. But someone looks at Bruce Wayne, this guy who, in simply stated, is just like a, what's the word for it? He's just kind of like this douchebag. That you're like, he can't put himself every day in the line just to protect the city of Gotham. But he does. And in this movie, this persona isn't created because Bruce wants to be Batman. The mask is him. Whenever he's in the suit, that is who he is. He wants to be protecting Gotham at all times. There's no other thing he wants to do. Everything else, he throws it to the side. He doesn't want to be Batman. I mean, he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He wants to be Batman. And you will see this in the movie so many times, and it makes sense because this persona is not created yet. So, let me go back to another picture here. Let's go back to the first one. I really like this. I'm not going to talk about the scene because that'd be a spoiler, but I think the next character I want to talk about in kind of relationship is Gordon. Now, Gordon was getting on a lot of hate because of the casting of him, because he is an African American man, and predominantly Jim Gordon in the comics is a white man. And Jeffrey Wright is an amazing Gordon, and arguably, I think he is the most comic accurate Gordon. And that doesn't mean anything. That does not mean he's the best. I would have to edge Gary Oldman from the Dark Knight trilogy over him, but the relationship between him and Batman is unmatched. They are two detectives, two good men of Gotham who want to protect their city, doing their job. And in this movie, the detective side of this shines because of them, because they are two smart guys, two of the world's greatest detectives, and they work together. They're so well. They trust each other so much, even though, he doesn't know who Batman is, because why would he tell him? But they work so well, and there is so much trust between them that is awesome to watch. And the next relationship I want to talk about is Selena Kyle, Catwoman, and again, she is amazing. She is another standout in this movie, and I can't put her over Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't know how to say her name. Sorry, don't kill me. I think it's Pfeiffer. I can't put her over Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman because she's had more screen time as Catwoman. So, but the relationship between the Bat and the Cat is awesome. It is really good. They really capture the essence between the two characters, and that's it. That's all I can say without spoiling it. Next up is Penguin. I think I talked about him before, or maybe I did not. The transformation in a Penguin by Colin Farrell by itself is perfection. He really nails his character down as this. Yeah, he's goofy. He's not, and if I mean goofy, I don't mean that he's, this guy you laugh at because of how dumb he is. He is scary at times too, but he's also a really good humor element in the movie, and he's not this corny humor that you like. That was not funny. The MCU joke, obviously joking, but he really is a great character in this, and although he's not the main villain, and I don't think he's better than the main villain, Riddler, obviously, but he also shines really hard, and he is a star in this movie. Back to the Riddler. He is, in my opinion, like I said before, the second best comic book movie villain of all time. He doesn't reach Heath Ledger in the fact of how good Heath Ledger was, but he is so perfect in, again, capturing the essence, the horror elements of this movie, and he does it so well. Again, I've seen people say, "Oh, the pacing of the movie is not good." I beg to differ. I think the pacing of the movie is perfect, and if I make a spoiler video, so I may make a video where I talk about spoilers in my review, but to anyone saying, "Oh, the third act was slow, could have cut out some scenes," no. Nope, nope, no. Every scene is needed. Every scene is perfect. And, not every scene. Don't get me wrong. Nothing is perfect. Everything has flaws. Even The Dark Knight has flaws. Even The Godfather, the best movie, not the best movie, but the best movies of all time, have flaws. There's no perfect movie. But, when you see a good movie, a masterpiece, that's what you give high acclaims. And this movie deserves these high acclaims, even though, yeah, the ratings aren't perfect. I think it's like 85 on Rotten Tomatoes and 8.6 on IMDb. Those are criminally low for how good this movie is. And again, like I was saying before, people are critiquing this movie for the most stupid reasons, and I'm not going to go in too deep into it, but I blame the MCU for that because either you see a movie and you say, "All right, this is too dark," or you see something like the MCU and you say, "Oh, it's too corny." There's like this middle ground that people expect nowadays, and it's like, but no, there's going to be a movie that is dark and still good, and this movie is phenomenal and is very dark. Uh, Again, another complaint is, should have been R-rated, and although I think there are some aspects that could have been better in a R-rated movie, they push this PG-13 to the limits, to the sky. They push it so hard, and if you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. They push it. They really, really push it. And I honestly don't know how it was allowed to be PG-13. They really went through like I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but they really pushed the rating. Um, I also want to talk about Alfred. Again, this is spoiler free, so I don't want to go into deep. He wasn't that big of a role in the movie, and again, not gonna talk about why, not gonna talk how, but Andy Serkis still does a good job as him in every scene he's in. But if we're comparing this to Dark Knight, Michael Caine is superior. Although I see Andy Serkis being a more grounded, more interesting Alfred, if that makes sense. I don't think he'll be better. Michael Caine did an amazing job, but yeah. And you may ask, why am I comparing this to The Dark Knight? Is because it deserves it. It deserves to be compared to Dark Knight. It deserves to be there in the tops of the best comic book movies ever. Ever. Um, and in my opinion, this movie is better than The Dark Knight. Don't get me wrong. Heath Ledger by himself is better than any character in this movie, but there are so many good characters in this movie. The cinematography is perfect. The detective and horror aspects make this feel like a Batman movie. Not just a movie, but a Batman movie. And I know I'm going on for 20 minutes now, almost, but really, this is my favorite superhero movie of all time. Now, it's not the greatest movie of all time. Let's not get that far. Let's not go and say that. But I watched it twice, and each time I am stunned of how good it is. And I personally love it. And I mean that with highest love. Let's go to the this picture here to end it off. But I'm trying to think if I missed anything, but I did miss something, and that is Carmine Falcone. The casting for this man is amazing. He is so good, and if you watch the movie, you will see what I'm talking about. That's all I can really say about him. He's just so good. Without spoiling anything, he is amazing. Another standout in the movie, and that's all I can say. From the first, the beginning of this movie is awesome. And when I mean that, again, no spoilers, but it is awesome. The first, like, 10 or so minutes. And the ending is equally as good, in my opinion. And going back to Robert Pattinson, he is the best Batman. I don't think there's a doubt that he's the best Batman. Sure, I think he should bulk up for the next Batman movie. I didn't have a problem with how he looked in this movie. I just think he should become a little bit bigger. And like, obviously, I can't just say become bigger. It's not easy, but put more work into becoming bigger. And yeah, action scenes, detective scenes. You really see how smart he is, but you really see how much he cares about Gotham. That's why I wanted to show this picture here. He really is Batman. And I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Let me know if you want to see a spoiler-free review. I will do that for you guys. But again, how would I rate this movie? I mean, in my opinion, is perfect. I wouldn't do anything to change it, and I wouldn't do anything, add anything more. Yeah, that's all I can talk about. I don't think I can go any further than that, and I don't think I would want to go any further than that. This is the easily the best comic book movie in the last 10 years, and in my opinion, of all time. Of all time. Disagree with me? That's fine. I respect your opinion. Everyone has their different opinions. But after watching this movie twice, call it recency bias all you want, but this is my favorite comic book movie of all time. It's my opinion. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you disagree with me, agree with me on some aspects, that's totally fine with me. I want to hear what you guys think, and leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Go check out my Arkham videos if you're a Batman fan. Doing all the Arkham games on the channel, and if you're not, thanks for watching. See you guys later.